Help me welcome Shantae Hooks.
Give it to me, give it to me. All right, settle down, class, settle down, settle down. In the words of the great Notorious B.I.G., I got a story to tell. Picture it, Wednesday, June 29th, 2022. I'm working from home, I'm in my kitchen, probably in my jammies, and I'm wrapping up a call. 6 minutes after the hour, I notice, I'm late to my next call, which just so happens to be with my manager, Greg. Now, I adore Greg. He's literally the best manager of my 20-year career, but I'm still late. So I anxiously end the one call, hop on the next call, and when Greg's face appears on the Zoom, I notice he's a little agitated. And unfortunately, he doesn't do what Michael, the facilitator, just said, connect first, correct second. He jumps right into feedback. Shantae, no big deal on being late, but you missed the audit committee meeting on Monday. And I know you sent your team, you sent a delegate, but you need to be present on those meetings. And actually, your team is really overwhelmed right now. I need you to get more into the details of what they're doing. The details matter. And as he was saying matter, his voice trailed off to a whisper. I called his name a couple of times. Greg. Greg. Not only does he not answer, but his head is now resting on his shoulder. I think to myself, holy shit. This man is having a medical emergency and I need to get him help, but I have no clue because like me, he's working from home. I don't know his address. And then I hear a thought. Call his assistant. I pick up my phone, I call his assistant. She answers, she calls his wife, and I watch on the screen as his wife and daughter try to give him CPR. The video call is disconnected, and man, I just wait and pray. Felt like hours, but maybe 10 minutes goes by. My phone rings, it's his assistant. I pick up the phone as I'm putting the phone to my ear, I hear a wail as she says, he didn't make it. I dropped down to my knees, and when I tell y'all, I wept. I wept like the day that I watched my dad die. You see, Greg wasn't just my manager. He wasn't even just the best manager of my career. Greg was like a father figure to me. I told him this often. He was the first manager of my career to ever really see me. And he was expert, just an exceptional leader, expert at creating a sense of connection on his teams, and particularly inspiring a sense of belonging in those that reported to him. But when he died at work, while on a Zoom call with me, spending his last words coaching and developing me, I was crushed. And honestly, I was very confused. I was an emotional wreck for the months that followed this. And my mind often looked like this. So many questions. Why Greg? Why me? Why now? Especially that why now. So you have to understand, at the time, I was having one of the best years of my life. Not only did I report to literally one of the best leaders at this Fortune 100 bank, had one of the best reputations in the whole company, but I was a bit of a rising star at work. 2 years prior to this, I started a mindfulness community called the Stillness Loop for my colleagues. And it started with 5 employees and it grew to over 500 employees. And the intention was to help improve our workplace experience through mindfulness and meditation. Greg was one of my biggest supporters. And I was so inspired at this time that I started my company, Mindful Culture Creators, with a similar intention to really help transform workplace culture by inspiring belonging through mindfulness. But man, when Greg died, it just felt like all of that momentum and all of that motivation and all that inspiration just kind of died with him. And honestly, it left me feeling very wounded. But because I teach mindfulness and meditation, I have a very strong intuition, and I knew intuitively that there was some rich wisdom in this wound. And I knew there was no way I was going to get to that wisdom if my mind looked like this. And so then I also knew that a part of my solution was going to be my own training. I had to become the student. Because mindfulness is often very much misunderstood. Many people think that mindfulness is stopping your mind from moving. It's not. If you think of it that way, you're going to get it wrong every time. Because mindfulness is not stopping your mind from moving. Mindfulness is noticing where your mind is. The second you notice is the second you can activate your power to transform your thoughts and your energy from wound to wisdom. So I honored my need to pause. I took a 14-month workplace sabbatical. And during that 14 months, I did a lot of things, a lot of practices, a lot of techniques. But the technique that I did the most, and that's what I'm going to share with you today, is actually a technique that I created. It's called Catch, Convert, Create. And it's anchored in this idea of honoring the pause. I developed this technique to help my students understand that everything in life is a process, including our thoughts. Between a thought and another thought and an action and a perspective are pauses that we often ignore. But when we feel that pause with a research-backed practice or practices, we can activate our internal ability to transform our emotions and our feelings out of our wound and into our wisdom. Now, I have a gift for you. I'm going to go over the first step. It's a 4-step framework. I'm going to go over the first one with you now. I know I may have brought the vibe down a little bit, so I want to make sure I bring it back up. So we'll go over the first step. If you're interested in the other 3 steps, I have a gift for you at the end. But the first step is always to honor the pause. And we're going to do that together. It's very simple. It starts with stopping. I encourage you to close your eyes, and feel free to do that or keep your eyes open with a soft gaze. And as you listen to my voice, just take really deep breaths, exaggerated breaths, breathing in a way that you don't normally breathe. And as you breathe, just notice something about your breath. Maybe you notice the clothing maybe shifting ever so slightly on your body as you breathe. Feel free to open your eyes when you're ready, or keep them closed. You'll miss the rest of the session. But what we're doing, we're not just breathing, we're taking intentional deep breaths, and we're flooding our brain with oxygen. When we flood our brains with oxygen, we activate our parasympathetic system. That's the part of our bodies that literally transitions us out of chemical states of stress into chemical states of rest. And once you have activated that ability to pause and to stop, just sort of short circuit your trigger, you can move on to the other steps in the framework, which I have written here in the form of affirmations. And each step includes research-backed practices to, again, activate that transformation. It starts with catching the thoughts that don't serve you. And typically I use meditative journaling techniques. And then we convert our thoughts to wisdom through guided visualization practices. And finally, we create new life with our new energy. And typically I use embodiment practices. Now these practices, these techniques can be done together, separately, it doesn't really matter. The thing to remember is the mantra: catch, convert, create. When you notice that you're triggered. And this will help you. It helped me so tremendously to stop seeing June 29th as like the most traumatic day of my life and really see it for what it was. It was a day that I got to help an incredible human being in his most vulnerable time of his life while he helped me. What an honor. I also got to tap into his wisdom, which was a leadership philosophy rooted in belonging and rooted in courage. And when that sabbatical ended 14 months later, just this past November, I actually decided to resign from my corporate job. I was a vice president of governance. I resigned from that job to truly devote everything that I have into my mission, which is to create cultures of belonging inside of work and outside of work through mindfulness and through community. I am so thankful for your time, for your energy today. It has helped me and I know it will help you tap into your inner Greg, the version of you that connects with others, that sees others, that fosters belonging everywhere you go. Please pull your phones out, scan this QR code. I would love your feedback. And I do have a gift for you. It's actually the visualization practice that I created as part of the convert step in the framework. Use it when you're triggered. Use it to change your thoughts. Use it to cultivate belonging. Thank you for being an incredible audience. Thank you, Greg, for being an incredible human being. Peace.
Close to the front.
Oh.
All right, give it up one more time mindfully. Shantae Hooks. Mr. Brown.
Oh, thank you. Shantae.
Hey.
I don't know about colors, but the blue and the yellow and this just got me going immediately, and your smile radiated in the first second you took the stage.
Thank you.
And I actually appreciate the way you used the audience's laugh to settle down. Come on, settle down. I felt so at home when you did that. Your personality on stage, everything I wrote down, your smile is brilliant. Settle down. Yes, loved it. And you did a a cool technical thing. You made a quick callback to something Michael had said earlier, the facilitator. It's a brilliant callback. You made us remember what he said, but you brought it into your presentation. You didn't overshadow him. You actually complimented what he had to say. And that was a stroke of brilliance when he did it. I loved that. I really, really liked that. I've heard the story of Greg several times in our rehearsals at the lab. But the way you told it today, I sat there, I couldn't write anything down. Because you took us to that place of seeing him on the screen, being in the middle of his word, and you're trying to be calm through the process to find a way to help Greg and to honor him. And I also appreciate when you said you heard he didn't make it. The audience responded, and you gave us time to respond. That's the mark of a presenter who's not only concerned about what they deliver, but they're concerned about how the audience receives it. And that I really appreciated. Use the line one time, which I confess I would love to have heard again. There was rich wisdom in this wound. And I submit to you, you could use that line again, perhaps in another context. You could even ask your audience, how much wisdom have you lost by not looking deeply at your own wounds? Is there wisdom in your wounds? So now we can really, wow, you know what? I never thought about it. And honestly, I didn't either. So I wrote it down. There was rich wisdom in this wound. I'm going to think about that. And you use humor, the sound effect, the buzzing sound, wrong. He was laughing out loud. He threw his head back. He's like
watching him.
He's like, and everyone loves an audience member who you will say, okay, hey, today's Saturday. And he laughs. Yeah. We love that.
I know, right?
Excellent. Some great lines. Mindfulness is knowing where your mind is. Catch, convert, create, and honor the pause. The beauty of that was, not only did you say it, you honored a pause and gave us time to pause and reflect. The growth in the last 3 months just blesses me. And you also used a word. You said, I encourage you to. You didn't demand or command. You didn't even ask. You encouraged us. And the choice of the word encourage was a positive word that made me want to participate because I felt encouraged by your words and by your demeanor. And those of you who have seen her go through this process will know the transformation, the growth has been tremendous. And we're going to get high fives all around. Shantae, thank you.